I'm Ray Mitchell. I live near Cambridge in the United Kingdom, and I teach even closer to Cambridge City in a village that's about 7 miles outside the city. My school is a secondary school that is an academy. We teach students who are 11 to 16. So, as you can tell by my accent, grew up in the United States, although I am British for all intents and purposes. One of the ones that we did in relation to Holocaust Remembrance Day a couple of years ago, we were focusing on children in the Holocaust. So it had 3 parts to it. We had an assembly in which the book Hannah's Suitcase was discussed, which is an investigation by a Japanese teacher trying to find out more about the Holocaust. So she contacted Auschwitz-Birkenau and was sent for educational purposes a suitcase that belonged to a child that had been transported to Auschwitz-Birkenau. And all they had was a name. And so there was an investigation that her and her students went through to find the story of this child. And so we used that book to introduce the idea that there are more children involved in the Holocaust than just Anne Frank. So that was one part of it. Then we used the Yad Vashem materials on Dear Diary, which again is a amount of information from diaries of young people caught up in the events of the Holocaust. And finally, to put some sort of visual thing to it, although it's on the borderline, I think, of the approaches that are useful for studying the Holocaust, get the idea of 1.5 million children. We have approximately 1,000 children in the school. So each of them, for that one project, was given a grid sheet with 1,500 small squares on it. And they could decorate it with either remembrance statements or artwork that would help them to visualize. And then this was put up down the main corridors of the whole school so that they could visualize that 1.5 million. And so those 3 projects worked together to understand the place of children in the Holocaust. We've also done other projects where we look at the Kindertransport. Being in England, it's something that is significant to us since the Holocaust itself didn't occur in most of the United Kingdom. The Channel Islands were taken over by the Nazis, and so there's some legacy there. But on mainland England, mainland Britain, we didn't have that legacy. But what we do have is this link of the 10,000 Reich children from Germany, the Austria, and the Czech lands that were allowed to come to England between Kristallnacht and the beginning of the war. And so we do some research into the places that the children may know. We're not very far from the city of Lowestoft, which is on the coast, and it's where the ships coming from Holland bringing the children from the continent to England arrived. So there's a plaque there. And so they can investigate some places that they're familiar with, and then Liverpool Street Station in London. So just places that they can link to, looking at memorials and having an idea of how the Holocaust influenced Britain, even though Britain wasn't caught up in it itself. Okay, it's important for several reasons. One is that it's an important part of world history, it's an important part of European history, and it's something that allows the students to have a grasp that the world hasn't always been the way it is now. That issues such as xenophobia, fear of difference are things that haven't just affected. So I can put this in a context, perhaps, that xenophobia exists in England now. The people who are being people are taking a skeptical approach to, perhaps, are the Polish. I mean, we've had 1 million Poles come to England, and the children see this. They hear adults saying, you know, why are we allowing all these people? And so we can put it in the context that immigration isn't always a bad thing. People that are from a different background are not, you know, some, you know, three-headed monsters from Mars or whatever. And the Holocaust, although there are the differences, it shows that how these things can be taken to extremes. And so I think it's something to temper the attitudes that some of the children hear from adults in the media, from the right-wing press, that, you know, people are people, and all people need dignity. So that's one thing that I think can come from it.